Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a fifth day of games here in the GGvision Liquid Colosseum with me, Sebastian Sjoberg, your host, and our featured champion,
Liquid Jinro, Gladiator of the Week.
Here, spawning as the Red Terran in the upper right starting position of Selnaga Caverns, the classic old map. Here fighting, of course, on his Korean account, because all these games, all these exclusive games selected for GGvision.tv by Team Liquid Pro are from the Asian server, from Jinro's practice and custom games with the most prestigious of opponents. His challenger today, Zerg player in the blue, here in the lower left, is none other than Tesing. That's what Google translates his name as. I don't know who this is, if it's a pro gamer that I'm simply not aware of, or more likely a pro gamer under a different name. Maybe an OGS in-house partner, I am not sure. I was only told that in these games sent to me by Team Liquid Pro, we will see Jinro fight nothing but interesting matches and against very well-known opponents from the Korean Grandmaster League and above through custom games. Earlier saw the extractor trick being used here by Tesing, and in order to squeeze out an extra drone, and now actually going for gas for real. Jinro is well ahead of that, and we'll just have to see what kind of strategy he will deploy this time. He has been very fond of mech, as all Koreans of late, against any matchup almost, it seems like, and Jinro, of course, being Swedish in origin, is still a Korean Terran player in all ways that matter. This time not being able to prevent the scouting from Testing from happening though, as he has been very successful at doing in previous games in this series. Jinro has been living and fighting in Korea for a long time now, and he was one of the first foreigners to qualify for the GSL Code S and to fight many of the early victories. Since then, it's safe to say that he has been slumping somewhat, but this is his first step towards a triumphant return to the very top of the Starcraft 2 atmosphere. Starting here at the GGvision Liquid Colosseum, we will also see him dominate GSL in August, that starts this very week. He will no doubt show us exactly what kind of stuff he's made of, and this is a pre-teaser of that, ladies and gentlemen. Now we see Zergling speed on the way and a Reaper opening from Jinro. We haven't seen that so far here on the GGvision Liquid Colosseum. We did see, however, Jinro fight a Zerg player on this map earlier this week on day 1, and I implore you all to watch it. It ended in the most unorthodox ways. One of those games you see once or twice a year at most, and whoever won that did so by the skin of their teeth at the very last deciding seconds. Do check it out. However, it's safe to say that this match would turn out quite differently, simply because very few games developed the way that one did. Factory now replacing the barracks and the tech lab on that. Quick command center, we've seen this build from Jinro before, but never with a Reaper opening that's simply hanging out. Meanwhile, of course, the Zerg player is halfway done with his own natural expansion, well ahead of Jinro in that regard. Jinro, however, knows about it and will only now lose his scouting SUV, but still got a lot of useful information. He knows about the Zergling speed, he knows about the average drone count, and of course about the expansion and the Zergling count. That, of course, gives him reason to deploy his Reaper. That will just might get quite a few drone kills, as his Zerglings are now progressing up to the ramp, which is fairly undefended. A Hellion is getting out now. You can follow what happens with the Reaper on the picture-in-picture screen. The Hellion should get out, and there's one Marine as well, so no worries. The Reaper, not having taken any kills yet, is now hanging out, camping here at the Selnaga Watchtower, similarly to the Zerglings, waiting for more blood. Blue Flame Hellions on the way. We've seen the Koreans deploying Blue Flame ever so much, and as you can see here, the icon for Blue Flame is still the old one from prior to the patch. This game was played a day or hours even before the new patch was released, as I understand it. So this is very current, ladies and gentlemen, and the strategy in in that regard will be the very same as we see here now in the latest patch and what we saw at MLG Anaheim, for instance. 4 Hellions out as of yet and continuing, building 3 at once. And now the Zergling will be able to see it. The Blue Flame isn't finished yet, but with these many Hellions, Tesing must be aware that he will be facing a very heavy Hellion threat, and he's not too prepared. Evacuating all drones, if he had any there prior, and constructing 2 spine crawlers. No queen there to protect it. It's actually camping out here and providing coverage. The Hellions should not be able to slay it, considering the spine crawler, and now reinforcing with more Zerglings. And we'll just have to see what Jinro can do to this. A macro hatchery constructed here at the Zerg base. I do like seeing that. This queen now being roasted very heavily with so much blue flame, but still they can take quite a lot of hurt. But these Zerglings, they can stand nothing against this queen. In the last game we saw the Hellions did not have blue flame on this map at day 1, but now they do, and they're roasting so much more effectively. This is carnage once again, and these drones are lining up so beautifully. Oh, that's terrible, terrible damage, as Dustin Broder would have put it, and Jinro is simply dominating. This would get him torn down to the Hague for war crimes if this was real life. Now losing all the Hellions, but look at the units killed. 54 in total and 16 workers. Those Hellions paid for themselves, and there are 5 more already moving out, and these Zerglings are not happy to see that. They need to retreat ASAP. Meanwhile, Jinro has secured his natural, and his Zerg opponent, whilst he's got more drones mining, he has definitely a subservient count. 18 drones to 34 SCVs plus mules. Jinro is doing good. 1 Reaper still alive somewhere, 1 Marine, 9 Hellions, and only 8 Zerglings and 3 Queens to stand up to it. Meanwhile, we see actually Jinro going ahead with upgrading vehicle armor, so he will be committing to a mech strategy, ladies and gentlemen, and I love seeing that. I'm sure that will mean tanks to follow this up. A preemptive transfuse going down here on the Queen, and I like that. Thinking ahead, preserving for the future. There's a large Hellion threat out there, and injured Queens are very susceptible to quick and painful death by roasting. These Hellions making sure that there are no Zerg shenanigan expansions out here. Meanwhile, we see more factories being added. This will be the 3rd one. Armory, of course, already out there churning out upgrades. And we see more Hellions waiting. This one, they might get the creep tumors. I wouldn't be surprised to see exactly this. Yes, Jinro throwing scans at creep tumors to hold the Zerg player back. You need to do this. The Zerg players these days are getting so good at spreading creep and utilizing the creep they have spread. So holding them back is well worth a scan, especially if you feel that you are ahead in economy anyway. This Reaper still being a nuisance, having killed 1 Zergling, and again, bad news for this Zerglings, but at least it shows that the Hellion threat is everything but over. And we see now how this new factory will be added on to yet another reactor, so Jinro will go mass Hellions with Thor support on top of that. Double Thors on the way. Of course, Jinro is guessing at Mutalisk, but Thors do quite good against Roaches as well. We have not yet seen the mid-game tech here from Tesing, as his layer is not yet finished, but Roaches you could definitely count on. Now we see the Spine Crawlers, Queens and Roaches will be able to ward away these Hellions. They will not be able to do too much, at least not when these defenses are all working together in sync. But still, Jinro is holding his opponent well back, and it seems like he lost an Overlord there as well. And of course the Thors are out now. They killed an Overlord just there, and Jinro is continuing his relentless pushing. I mean, Jinro has never been a purely defensive player. He's always been prone to aggression and used that effectively in his gameplay, but I've always felt that he has been very methodical, slow and steady kind of thing, and even saving that Reaper beautiful. But lately, through these replays, and I'm sure you'll agree, we have seen his aggressive side. I think he is tired of not winning, ladies and gentlemen, and he will change that by unleashing the heavy hammer of the Terran war machine onto his opponents, and we will see just that now. Blue flame, then SCVs as fodder, burning these Roaches, but these are many Roaches and 1 Queen, and they can quickly take down Thors like they were nothing. Jinro might lose this battle, he might be forced to retreat, because Hellions, they don't do too well against these many roaches, especially not on creep. But then again, having pushed that creep away is truly benefiting Jinro now, burning quite a few Zerglings, but he's forced to retreat. Tesing has won this battle for the moment, but he had to invest a lot in roaches. Again, looking at the income tab, we see how Jinro has pushed ahead so far. 60 harvesters to 43 of Tesing, and the third player, they don't want to be in that situation. Now breaking down his own rocks. Meanwhile, the Hellions are moving back in. 4 of them now. This time they will get killed, I do believe. Losing... not yet all of them, but yes, there we go. That's the Hellion threat eradicated. Though he is continuing production, 2 more on the way, and continuing to roast Zerglings. Looking at the units killed, 97, and again 16 workers. Now it seems like Testing will plant his third base. Of course, the old rule of thumb said that you want to be 1 base up as a Zerg player towards your opponent, and that has not been the case for a long time for Testing, and Jinro has already constructed a new command center that will soon be floated to his second natural, I am sure, having fortified very well siege tank Thors and buildings in the way. This is a very safe spot for Jinro. We see here the Hellions continuing to be a nuisance, using their superior maneuverability here off creep, roasting Zerglings, and keeping map control, making sure that Testing can never relax. And now Jinro knows about the fresh base as well. Sorry about that. And we'll be able to put on some light pressure. He won't be able to kill it though. These roaches will take down a Hellion or 2. And this is turning out to be a very interesting game. Testing anticipating Jinro's choice of soon expanding here. Meanwhile, we see him going for Roach burrow upgrade as well as normal burrow. And I don't believe he has planted a spire yet. I can't see one, so no Mutalisks right now. Jinro now going ahead with vehicle weapon upgrades, but never mind that, there's more roastage going on. And again, these roaches, they will probably win against the Hellions in a straight up fight, but that's where the tanks and Thors come in. Jinro now claiming the gold rather than going for the blue mineral third natural here in the back. Jinro feels that he can take this position, that he has the advantage, and now dropping gargantuan amount of mules and transferring SCVs right away. If Testing saw that, he must be biting his tongue in envy. This is so much money. Looking here at the income tab, you can see how he's soaring away. Happy news if you're a Terran player. And I'm sure Jinro will quickly, yes indeed, he's building a new command center and will want to plant it here. Testing will be annoying with that Zergling though. Having secured his own gold, he's far from out of the game though. Now going ahead with his own upgrades for roaches, armor and weapons, and these roaches, they will always push away the Hellions until they run into the tanks. And Roach is now burrowing. This is of course the Zerg player's prerogative. Jinro, that he does not know, he hardly has vision over there, and now the roaches will be able to crash into Jinro's base if they so choose. They are rather to decide to stand outside the wall and bear down on these supply depots, but as these tanks siege, he is forced to retreat once again. Having now trying to construct land his base here, this Zergling will deter that from happening for the time being. You see in Festation Pit going down for Testing somewhere around his base, and that will of course mean infestors happening very soon, and that's of course what Zerg players need to do. We saw beautiful infestor usage by Liquid HayprO, and he was the Gladiator of the week in the previous Colosseum here 2 weeks ago, and he could use his infestors so well, so gallantly, I would almost say. We'll just have to see if Testing has the same ability. Look at all these roaches though, these are more than I can count, 3 whole folders of them. And looking at the units tab, we see that they are as many as 56, now almost 1-1 upgraded, versus 5 Thors, 13 tanks, and 2 Marines, not to mention 11 blue flamed Hellions. So these are by now 1-1, so the battle is indeed approaching, ladies and gentlemen. The Thors will get destroyed in seconds, and this is not a planetary fortress. I do believe that Jinro will lose this. Tesing has simply decided, no matter infestors or other supportive units, I just go full-on roach and hammer him to pieces, forcing to lift his expansion but not losing it right now. Jinro is taking the first major blow to his economy, and Testing a somewhat expensive victory, but a victory nevertheless. This sensor tower having been planted there precisely in order to reveal burrowed roaches. And now we see double command centers going up here for Liquid Jinro at his base, and that's looking very good indeed for Jinro. His economy will be soaring very soon, and he will keep himself in the lead in that regard. But these roaches, they will be able to destroy them. They are virtually unprotected now, killing off these tanks and the building command centers. This is a planetary fortress, but it's not yet functional. The SCVs are repairing, but these roaches now 1-1, destroying all of them. And Jinro's economy not in shatters, but definitely taking a huge blow. And Tesing is clawing himself back into this game steady and steady, destroying all of the refineries. And even though this command center will survive, Tesing is looking better and better. Jinro has reclaimed this high yield, but he's almost out of money, and Testing should be wise to retreat now, having inflicted the necessary damage. His own high yield have been susceptible to Hellion harass, and just look at all these burning drones. Workers killed 44 to 18, still very much in Jinro's favor all over the board. Testing now claiming his second natural here in the back, and Jinro reclaiming his. This time Testing will not be able to do the same thing all over again. But on the other hand, his high yield Jinro's is not so well defended. Testing is now mounting an attack from 3 different angles and definitely will be able to destroy it. Might be able to destroy it before it lifts even. No dice there. Jinro losing his expansion, but it seems like the attack for the moment is dissipating and retreating. The Hellions roasting away. These are very many Hellions as well, and the roaches forced to unburrow. Jinro and Testing, they are exchanging blows, though I question this. Jinro has definitely the positional advantage and now sacrificing some Hellions in order to allow the tanks time to siege, dropping a changeling just for funsies. And you can see now the damage that these Hellions have inflicted on these roaches. They heal so quickly when underground, but still Jinro is continuing his aggression, lifting up and continuing to have those command centers ready and available for as soon as he can land them again. But these tanks, I should believe that they will be able to push back Testing, but it will be close. Planetary Fortress, however, closes the deal so much faster, and Testing should probably transition into something else. I've yet to see any infestors from him, and here we do have Fungal Growth finally being deployed. Looking quickly at the unit stat, we have 4 infestors out and 22 roaches. Quite many of them have perished. Mining heavily from the high yield and having fully saturated this base as well. They are fairly even in income, and Jinro should probably look at taking a new base fairly soon. Then again, he might just decide to kill his opponent right now. Going for ship plating. He's already got 2 attack upgrades, and now we are seeing the infestors getting unleashed. Parasite, but there's simply not enough fodder underneath. Infested Terrans being deployed, but where are the roaches? They perished earlier. Testing simply don't have enough left, ladies and gentlemen. Looking at the unit stat, we see 21 roaches, but Jinro now takes a strong positional advantage and will be able to bear down on this expansion, obliterating it in seconds. I don't know what Testing can do. Testing will go for a counterattack, but this expansion is all but depleted and no longer that functional, and even so, Jinro manages to defend it. It's looking very good for a Gladiator here at the Liquid Colosseum. Day 5, he has won some, he has lost some, but this game seems to be securely in his grasp. But never say never. Testing still got roaches and infestors in the air, and as Jinro unsieges his tanks, he's leaving them susceptible, losing quite a few tanks, I must say. Testing still mining from his natural, and of course his second natural as well, being oversaturated. He is not out of the game just yet. Jinro having hardly any money left here on this expansion, and mining for the full here. He's got double planetary fortresses. He's decided to stick to his guns and keep this base no matter what. However, if this game proceeds any longer, he will need to take a new base, and that would be this one perhaps, would be the most advisable, but that will be difficult. Tesing will try to prevent that as hard as he possibly can. Instead, Jinro goes for an attack at this expansion, and this is where it will all be determined, ladies and gentlemen. Queens are falling, hatchery falling down, and Jinro taking a very aggressive and secure position here at the ledges around Tesing's territory. If this had been in Festus, they could have fungal growth all these SUVs. That would have been very good for Tesing. Now, long distance mining, must say it's not looking too good. Economy wise, they're actually more even than I would have suspected, but that will change soon as two roaches actually managing to create quite a lot of havoc. But as soon as Jinro clears that up, he will have a soaring economy. No, never mind that. These are quite a lot of bird roaches, and Jinro is not aware. He can see the smoke, but he does not know that there are a gargantuan amount of roaches underneath his force. They will be able to obliterate his forces in seconds. Infested Terrans going up and roaches unburrowing. This could be too much for Jinro, ladies and gentlemen. All these roaches obliterating the Thors, but the siege tanks, they are heavily upgraded and they are forcing the roaches to pay dearly. It's all about whether Jinro can resupply, because Tesing lost so many units in that attack. Will it have been worth it? I'm not so sure. These are two Thors, tanks and Hellions with blue flame. It might be just too much for Tesing at this moment. He's now rebuilding his base here at his second natural, but will he be able to hold? I doubt it. It all comes down to this battle, and we'll just have to see what he can respond. He's now got 14 Mutilifs. They might be able to turn the tide of battle, not if he marches them in one by one though. GG from Tesing, the formidable and anonymous Zerg player from the Korean server that Jinro just slayed in a very formidable fashion. I do hope you enjoy that CVT, a very modern CVT. We saw heavy mech being deployed by a master of the game, Liquid Jinro, now returning to true form. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm Sebastian Sjoberg, and that you will be back for the 6th final and concluding game of the GGvision Liquid Colosseum with Jinro as our Gladiator tomorrow. See you soon. GG and out.